Today's episode of Variant is brought to you by GoDaddy.
Today on Variant, I give you the history of Static Shock. Welcome to Variant, where we love comics more than I really want to see Nightwing in a feature film. I'm your host, Arris Quinones. Today I have another History of episode for you guys, this time on Static Shock. Static Shock has always been a cool character, and definitely a character that doesn't get enough attention, minus his awesome cartoon he had in the early 2000s. So today, I'm putting Static Shock back in the limelight, so let's take a look at his history. The most important things to know about Static Shock is his name is technically just Static, but over the years he became widely known as Static Shock, which is mainly due to his cartoon series in the early 2000s. He's also had several different comic titles named Static Shock, most recently with his new 52 title. As for me, I call him by both names, just whatever comes out first basically. As for Static's creation, he was created by writers Dwayne McDuffie and Robert L. Washington III and artist John Paul Leon. He made his first appearance in Static Issue 1 in 1993. The series was published through Milestone Comics, but was distributed by DC Comics. Milestone characters existed in a separate continuity that did not fall under DC Comics' direct editorial control. However, in 1994, DC Comics and Milestone Media published an intercompany crossover storyline called Worlds Collide. The Milestone comic imprint lasted for 4 years and went into decline through 1995 and 1996, marked by falling sales and a number of canceled titles. The last 3 ongoing Milestone titles were Static, Icon, and Hardware, but were canceled mid-story in 1997. In 2000, Milestone Media, in association with Warner Brothers and DC Comics, launched the Static Shock animated series on Kids WB. It ran for 4 seasons, totaling in 52 episodes from the year 2000 to 2004. It was one of my favorite cartoons. I especially loved when they would have crossover episodes, like the episode titled The Big Leagues, where the Joker comes to Static Shock's home turf, and of course Batman and Robin step in to help Static. It was such a good episode, so find it and watch it. The Static Shock cartoon series, as some of you might have guessed by me saying Batman and Robin guest starred on it, is part of the DC animated universe, or some people may call it the Timverse, named after famed DC animator and producer Bruce Timm. So it lives within the world of Batman the Animated Series, Superman the Animated Series, Batman Beyond, Justice League, and Justice League Unlimited. A future version of Static Shock also appears in Justice League Unlimited in the episodes The Once and Future Thing Part 1 and 2, which are awesome episodes. But then, again, almost everything in the DC animated universe is awesome, so yeah. At the 2008 Comic-Con, DC Comics executive editor at the time, Dan DiDio, announced that the Dakotaverse, aka the Milestone universe, and its characters would be revived and merged into the DC universe. Static soon after joined the Teen Titans and appeared in the Young Justice TV series. Now, you may be wondering, what about Static's comic origin? Well, don't worry, I'm getting to it, like right now. Like that's the very next thing I'm going to talk about. Ready? Go. Virgil Hawkins was just an average teenager attending Ernest Hemingway High School with a fetish for comic books and role-playing board games. That sounded perverted. How about we go with a love for comic books and role-playing games? There we go. Much better. His only problem was being ridiculed and bullied, mainly by his rival Francis Stone, who later became the villain Hotstreak. So, for those of you who watch the Static Shock cartoon, fire hair, or this band's way too low. After taking a beating from him, Larry Wade, a close friend, asked him to meet him at Parris Island, the most dangerous section of Dakota. Once there, Larry hands Virgil a gun in order to pay back Francis from earlier. But he couldn't bring himself to do it, so he tosses the gun into the water. There was one problem, however. Virgil was present at the Big Bang, a large brawl between rival gangs. But at the same time, the police arrived and unleashed a tear gas spiked with chemicals to track any gang member that tried to get away. Things backfired, and the gas proved to be harmful. Out of over 500 gang members, only 10% of the people exposed to the gas survived, either mutating into monstrous creatures or gaining superhuman powers and abilities, and leaving the rest on their deathbed. When Virgil was exposed to the gas, he gained electromagnetic powers and unwillingly dismantles police robots with his powers before making his escape from Parris Island. Later, he decides to become a superhero, naming himself Static. Most recently, Static got his own series simply titled Static Shock in 2011 with the launch of DC's New 52. The first issue came out September 7th of 2011. During the series, Static faces down new enemies such as Piranha and Viral, as well as old Milestone foe Dr. Nemo. The series, however, was unfortunately canceled after only 8 issues. Static did appear in Teen Titans issue 6, and within the title, it is revealed that Static designed the cape and wing apparatus of Red Robin's costume while at Star Labs. It is also hinted that Static would join the team at a later date. Now, some people seem to get Static and Black Lightning confused, thinking they're the same character, which is not the case. Black Lightning has been around since 1977, where Static has only been around since 1993. So though similar, they are not the same character at all. Now, of course, like all superheroes, Static has a lady friend, which would be Frida Goran, who's his friend as well as his occasional love interest. As for villains, Static has some cool enemies, like his first villain, Hotstreak, who has the powers of pyrokinesis, the ability to excite atoms to the point where they have enough energy to burst into flames. Aquamaria, who possesses water powers and can transform into any shape. Dr. Nemo, who has the ability to only be noticed when he wants to be. Commando X, who can change any inanimate object he touches into explosive weapons, and the list goes on and on, especially if you include villains that only appeared in his cartoon series. Now let's talk about Static Shock's powers. He has the metahuman ability to project, channel, generate, manipulate, and absorb raw electromagnetic energy, mainly being able to generate electricity from his body and fire powerful lightning bolts from his hands. He can generate electromagnetic shields from his body in order to protect himself from bullets, lasers, energy blasts, and other projectiles. And he can also generate repulsion fields that repel virtually anything. He uses a metallic disc he designed that allows him to fly using his powers, and is also capable of using the disc as a makeshift weapon. Static possesses some level of mind control resistance, having been able to avoid telepathic detection from Miss Martian. And he's commented on having a healing factor when looking to see if his wounds from earlier in the morning were healed yet. Now, of course, I gotta give you guys some good Static reading recommendations, because that's what I do. You have Static Shock Issue 1, Static Shock Rebirth of Cool, Static Shock Volume 1 Supercharged, Worlds Collide, A Rift Between Worlds, and Teen Titans Issue 79, just to name a few. GoDaddy has everything you need to put your business online and find new customers. Get started by registering a domain name and creating your website with GoDaddy's easy-to-use website builder. Already have a site? No problem. Keep it running fast with GoDaddy Web Hosting. Visit GoDaddy.com and enter the promo code VARIANT30 to save 30% on your new purchase. Some limitations apply. See the website for details. First up, for Wednesday, February the 19th, we have Daredevil Issue 36. This is the final issue for this volume of Daredevil, as well as Mark Waid's amazing work on the title. Don't miss the finale to one of the best Daredevil runs to ever hit the pages of a comic book. Now we have Ghosted Issue 7. This comic I feel is highly underrated, but if you like horror, adventure, or paranormal stuff, this comic is right up your alley. Here we have Justice League Issue 28. With the Justice League gone, new heroes continue to rise up throughout the DC universe. The Crime Syndicate tried to kill him, but now Cyborg is back to settle the score, and with him are the Metal Men. Next we have Harley Quinn Issue 3. It's Valentine's Day, and Harley Quinn is getting depressed watching happy couples walk by. Will a special gift from Poison Ivy turn things around for Harley? And finally we have Batman Beyond Universe Issue 7. Terry and Bruce are forced to work together to take down one of Batman's oldest foes, but will their strained relationship prevent them from completing their mission? Well, that brings another episode of Variant to a close, but remember, you can always like our Variant Facebook page to keep up with the show and all things comic related. You can also follow me on Twitter at twitter.com/Arris_Quinones. But that is it for today. But don't worry, because guess what? I'll be back here, right here, next week to talk about what? All things comics. Virgil Hawkins. Nothing short of invincible. Invincible. Well, that brings another episode of Variant to a close. I'm closing out the episode for another week.